Welcome to Financial Focus, brought to you by GulfCoast Financial Services founder and CEO, John Kuykendall. John and his team of financial, legal, and tax professionals have provided North Florida savers and investors sound, comprehensive financial guidance for over 25 years, helping you to achieve important life and planning goals. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more Financial Focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net.
And welcome into the program. This is Financial Focus, brought to you by the best of the best in financial services, as named by the Lake City Reporter and their readers for 7 years now, and running the team from GulfCoast Financial Services. Founder, CEO John Kuykendall here with us, providing the guidance and perspective on how to clarify and uncomplicate the financial and retirement planning world. And John, we always appreciate that perspective.
Well, thank you, Peter. It's great to be here, especially at this time of the year when we look back and reflect on one of the biggest tragedies that happened in our country was 9/11, when we had all that terrific Holocaust really that happened here, the Twin Towers going down. You know, my son and I were in our other office. We've moved to a two-story building since then, but we were sitting there at 9/11/01. And I was in my office looking at the CNBC, and of course the tickers were going all across. And all of a sudden, I saw this airplane fly into the tower, and I'm like, "That they must be a commercial." And then I realized that it wasn't, and what a terrible event that was. And to see the people having to jump out of the building because it was on fire and they couldn't get out. I tell you, that's something that I'll never forget. This is the 20th anniversary, and I hope our country never forgets it. The one thing that I loved about our country was after that happened, there was a sense of unity for a period of time. But we've gotten away from that, and now we're kind of struggling with our identity and what we're going to be. And I just hope that as we celebrate this anniversary of those events and all the people that died and suffered, and the great response of the first responders and how they reacted, that we will look back and reflect on our country and try to come together in unity, realizing that the United States is the best place in the world. And no matter how bad you think you have it here, there's somebody else in the world that has it a lot worse than we do.
Yeah, indeed. We all came together, and we are stronger together.
Mm-hmm.
And hope is that one day we can find more unity in our day-to-day lives, and it doesn't take a tragedy like 9/11 to cause that to happen. I remember where I was as well 20 years ago. It seems like just a flash, and 20 years has gone by, but I remember it vividly. And John, you sharing that, it reminds me of that. But we want to, remember that and stay strong together and to grow from that experience. Hard to believe that there are people now of voting age that were not alive when that occurred, John.
Well, yeah, 20 years ago, it's a long time. It seems like yesterday. Time passes quickly and our lives go quickly. And so we need to live back the best way we can. Somebody, we just lost a great coach at Florida State not too long ago, Bobby Bowden. And somebody in his legacy had said that, it's not your legacy is what you leave behind. And so I look at those people that responded to that tragedy and with great courage and great determination, and their legacy was great. And all those people that died in that terrible event, we look back upon them and know that they were brave, they were strong. And I just hope that when we look back on where we've been and what we've done, that the people will say the same thing about us, that we gave it our all, that we did the best we could in the short time we were here on earth, and that we lived a life that glorified everybody and everything, but certainly glorified America.
I would have to say, John, getting more into the nature of what this program is typically about, but but tying in there is that we all do leave an impact, and we all do leave
Yeah.
a legacy. And
Mhm.
part of what you do there at Gulf Coast Financial Services is help people create and craft a plan where they can have more confidence, not only during their lifetime, but in what that impact and legacy is going to be that they leave behind. It's not all about the money, the
No.
memories and that impact is crafted there at Gulf Coast Financial Services as well.
Well, that's right, Peter. We're not so much about leaving a large amount of money behind, but we want our people who are retired to be able to spend time with their grandkids and their great grandkids, and to be able to do things that the children will look back and say, I remember when Mimi and Papa were here, and they took us here and they took us there. Those things are what great. And we have to have a plan, Peter. You know, we live on short-term goals right now because we're working. We live from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. But what we have to do is plan for that long-term goal, which is setting up that retirement plan that will give us the legacy, which is not all about dollars, but like I said, memories and the things that we're able to do together, and also the things we're able to do volunteer wise, for charity and for other people and for other organizations. That's what we're all about, is we want to make sure that we leave the biggest impact in the community that we live in that we can.
Is it fair to say then, John, in order to have realistic expectations of achieving those long-term goals, is that we have to have a short-term plan? And in order to achieve legacy goals financially, we have to have a plan that supports us during our lifetime, not being selfish, but recognizing that our own lifetime self-supportedness and stability is what ultimately is going to impact that legacy that we do leave.
Well, that's right, Peter. And the short-term plan, as I said, is while we're working, we're living from paycheck to paycheck. We're paying our bills. We're paying for the kids' school. We're doing things like that. But the long-term plan is the one where we're setting aside money for retirement, because in retirement, we're paying ourselves. And if we don't plan on that now, we're not going to be able to have the kind of retirement that we really want, nor are we going to be able to leave behind the legacy, either in memories or dollars, that we really would like to leave. Every parent, I think, that I've ever talked to wants to leave something to the kids and the grandkids. And as I tell them, that can be dollars, and certainly we would like to leave them money. But if it's not dollars, then I would like them to leave the memory that the retiree did everything that they wanted to do and could do in a timely manner while they were retired, and that they lived a happy life. I mean, nobody wants to be miserable and not have any money. And in this day and age, and inflation is almost 5% now. That in this day and age, it takes more to live.
Well, I am a parent. I've got an 11-year-old son, and I would do absolutely anything that I could to put my son in the best situation possible.
Sure.
And I do want to. And I think about that, and I plan for it. I designate a portion of my budget to that result. However, at the same time, John, I do realize that at a certain point, doing the best things to make sure I am self-sufficient and stable throughout retirement is, in fact, doing the best thing for my son, so that I don't turn around and become dependent on him at some point.
Well, no, and no adult ever wants to become dependent on their children. And so the two biggest fears are, one, I'm going to run out of money, or two, I'm going to run out of money and then I'm going to have to live with my kids.
And then go live with the kids. Yeah.
And they don't want us. Trust me, I know. I mean, as I've often said, my son, Todd, he told me one time, he says, don't worry, Dad, we'll find you a good place. So they don't plan on us coming there. And it's not the best thing. And while we don't want them to come live with us either. So, we don't want them to come back once we get them out of the house. But, and I say that, facetiously, because we really, don't care.
You want to be the resource of last resort and the safety net. You don't want to be the first resort that they fall back on.
Yeah. Well, it was, I had a conversation just yesterday with a client whose son's in their 40s, and she's talking about wanting to do something for him. And I said, what we need to do is we want to make sure that before we leave Earth, that they are able to take care of themselves. It's not us becoming an enabler and encouraging to do things. It's making them self-sufficient on their own. And then what we leave them, if we leave them anything, they'll be able to manage that in a manner that will give them the pleasure they need and not just, spend it feverishly.
John, you've talked about a resource that you've made available, the 12 questions to have answers to know if you are ready to retire. The Are you ready? Are you prepared to retire? 1-page list of questions. That would be something that once we've checked off all of those boxes, we could really go a long way in identifying what the legacy is going to look like. First off, if we've got great answers to those questions, we're probably leaving a positive legacy in some form or fashion. But then once we have answered those and have dollar amounts earmarked to several of those questions, what's left over really is about creating that abundant legacy for our loved ones and family and those that we care about.
Well, that's right, Peter. And I think if people would look at those and get that list from us, that it would help them in order to set aside get ready for their retirement, and also be able to set enough money aside to talk, to really do the kind of retirement they need. And those are the things that we talk about on this show every time. What's your income gap? How much money are you going to need in retirement over and above what you got coming in each month? And we've talked about why we need to do that. And everybody's income gap's different. Some people have a large income gap. Some people have a small income gap. We've got some clients that are retired on $150,000 a year, and I've got some clients that are retired on $50,000 a year. It just depends on your lifestyle and where you are in life.
Well, if you would like that list of questions, a great resource to hand to a family member or a loved one who is talking about or has thought about retirement anytime in the near future, or if you yourself are, give a call to GulfCoast Financial Services. Even if you are already a client tuned in, or you're not yet a client, they do make that available to you. All you got to do is give them a call at 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. Request the Are You Prepared? Are you ready to retire? List of 12 questions, that report. John, that deals with a lot of the financial aspect, but another part of leaving a positive legacy, unfortunately, I know from recent personal events, is preparing the documents.
Oh, yeah.
My wife's family, unfortunately, got hit pretty hard with COVID. Her mom was in the hospital. Her mom's husband passed away. They didn't have a whole lot of different accounts spread out everywhere, not a lot of assets. And they thought that because they didn't have a whole lot of assets, they really didn't need those legal documents. It made it really hard to get things done for them when they needed them done. So no matter what your situation, at the very least, you need to have those in order to create that most positive legacy possible, or even during your own lifetime, unfortunately.
Well, Peter, unfortunately, I think that, and this is just me talking, that the estate planning, the estate documents that we need that will help our spouses and our family when something happens to one of us, they come from lawyers. And everybody's afraid that the lawyer is going to be too expensive. It's going to cost too much money or take up too much time. That's really not the case. I mean, these documents should be able to, you should $500. You should be able to get these documents. I know here in Lake City, we have an agreement with a local attorney who will do them for $500 for our clients. And if you don't have that will, that power of attorney, that health surrogate form in the living will, those 4 documents are all you need. If you don't have those documents in a simple death, it makes it really difficult because there's always something that you forgot that you put in your name that when you got to probate. And that's the biggest thing, is you never want to probate. And you also want to make sure that you get the right documents. I mean, it can make a big difference. I had a situation where we had a client who bought a house, but they couldn't close on it because they had the wrong power of attorney. The individual selling it was selling it for his mother, who was incompetent, but the power of attorney didn't include the house. Real estate, it included his financial stuff, but not the real estate It took them 8 months to get that house sold.
Wow. Well, these are things that we have to think through. And during the planning process and ongoing reviews, John and his team there at GulfCoast Financial Services, they definitely check up to make sure that you have those boxes checked off and those items taken care of. Even if it is with working with other professionals, they've got that relationship established there for you, or can help coordinate and communicate with the professionals that you already have relationships with. Again, maybe a very high priority on your list, maybe something that you hadn't thought about in a while. Either way, worth reviewing, part of that financial focus review session. 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. And John, we talk about creating that legacy, there are certain tools, there are certain financial resources that we think about, life insurance being one of them, but there are other types of accounts as well that are better to be left behind than others. So you help people coordinate that and go through an order of operations and determine what kind of vehicles or tools are best suited to achieve their results.
Well, that's right, Peter. And with the new tax law changes, one of the things we have to be careful of is the taxes that are going to be incurred by the people that are left behind. So we want to make sure that whatever we do, we make it as tax efficient as we can. You mentioned life insurance happens to be one of the best ways to pass money on, because we're putting a few dollars up to get a large sum later, and it passes tax free. So until they change that tax law, that loophole, now life insurance goes totally tax free, nothing there that you have to pay. So it's a great way to pass an inheritance, and it doesn't take that many dollars to buy that policy. So you can put a few dollars up and get a large benefit for it. The other thing too is that we want to make sure, I really like to make sure that we maximize Social Security, because as you know, when one spouse passes away, we're going to lose half the income. So we're going to be concerned about that. We're also, the main thing is, one of the biggest things is taxes. We have to worry about the taxes that are going to be. And with this new 10-year rule, we like to sit down and talk to the subsequent beneficiaries past the spouse and explain to them it's going to be incurred and how fast they're going to have to spend that money in order to get it. Roth conversions are certainly a great way to do that. And Roth conversions really need to be done before 65, because when we get into 65, we're on Medicare and Social Security. And as you know, Part B, Medicare is indexed for income, and a Roth conversion can pump you up into the $400 a month bracket for Part B real quick. So we want to make sure that we look at those things. There's a lot of ways that we can help. But I just want to say that the one thing we want to do is make the transition as smooth and easy as we possibly can. And that's why, if you want to leave a legacy, one of the things you need to leave is, I had everything done ahead of time. I had everything spelled out. I had talked to my family. I had talked to my wife or my spouse, and they knew what my wishes were. They knew what I wanted, and the documents did that. And we don't have to squabble. I mean, there's nothing worse than a family getting into an argument over who gets these jelly jars and who gets those jelly jars. I've had that happen.
It happens.
And so,
it absolutely happens. No, you bring up an excellent point, because John, on one side of this, there is preparing the finances and the documents and the tools and the accounts. On the other side of it is having those open conversations with the family members and preparing the people for the money, because the money passing on, that's one part of it, but it's ultimately not, to many people, the most important thing. They want to pass on their values, and having those open conversations will help to facilitate and improve that.
Well, that's true, Peter. I've had that conversation with my children, and they understand who's getting what and why. And if one gets more, they understand it. We've had all those decisions ahead of time. And we did that 12, 13 years ago, so that if there was a problem, they could talk to me now, and we could get it out in the open, and we could work through it before I passed away. So those are the things that we need to do. I'm really excited that I'm an example in that point, that I have done that. I have talked to them. It's all spelled out. All the legal work's done. Everything is there. It's just I want to make it as easy on the survivors as I possibly can.
Well, John, if we've got that plan constructed, even if we've got an abundance of assets and wealth, one thing that can really devastate that is unprepared for or unaddressed potential medical expenses. And you mentioned life insurance. There are several ways to address that potential for healthcare expenses or long-term care. And people are surprised that life insurance can be one of those approaches that a lot more often these days than in the past, people are finding as a pretty reasonable and attractive approach.
Well, that's right, Peter. I mean, now in Florida, especially since there are no long-term care providers here, and you can't really buy long-term care insurance. We've had to look for other solutions, and life insurance is a great way to do it, because the thing is that if I need that life insurance policy for long-term care, which now they will pay for chronic critical illness, I can have that and not hurt my income or hurt my spouse's plan. But at the same time, if I don't need it and I pass away, then that will make up for the insurance, for the Social Security check that he or she's going to be losing. So it just is a way to keep everybody, everything fluid, and also to get two benefits for the dollar. Now, there are some annuities that have lifetime income, and they will double for 5 years to provide a long-term care benefit. And we talk to all of our clients and everyone that we work this plan up on. We talk to them about long-term care and the cost. I mean, I think the national average now for a nursing home is $11,000 a month. And that's going up drastically because there's a tremendous shortage of healthcare workers in the United States. I don't know whether you've realized that or not, but everybody's short. And so as they've had to pay more and it costs more just to handle the people, they've had to raise their cost. Actually, medical is going up a lot faster than inflation. So you can expect medical costs to continue to increase. We deal with that with every plan. Main thing, one of the two things that I always want to deal with, and I always want to make sure, it's great to look at the investments and figure out how I'm going to make money. But the other thing is I want to look at taxes and healthcare costs so that what I make, I can try to kind of preserve.
John, finally, maybe in this topic, is those that are charitably inclined. We want to gift. We want to leave some impact to an organization or a cause or an institution. There are some opportunities available right now. And you actually even mentioned the Roth conversions earlier. Maybe that also falls in this bucket where we have some opportunities currently available that maybe use it or lose it. The laws on these things can change. And so we may want to look at and consider either those tax management strategies of Roth conversion now and the charitable gifting strategies that are available now may certainly be something to consider.
Well, there's some great ways to do that. Is we can contribute directly from our IRA to a charity, but while we're and do it in place of the required minimum distribution. So, I mean, there are some things that we can do. Certainly, we should look at that. The Roth conversion and giving and handling that money or giving that money to the church or to the charitable unit is certainly a way. There are many other ways that we can do it. The qualified annuity, where we can put $100,000 a year into an annuity that we can designate to a charity. There are a lot of different ways that we can do this that we need to look at, and everything is different. Everybody's different, but certainly, if you're charitably minded, you want that spelled out ahead of time, and we look at that and make sure that if you're wanting money to go to your university or to a certain charity, Rotary or whatever, that's included in our plan.
Well, every step in your financial progress does take some careful planning and having your family protected, having a plan that provides for self-sufficiency, that's going to lead to a positive impact legacy even after your plan. So if you want your wishes executed, make sure that you've put that plan in writing, that you've gone through regular reviews and updates of that plan. And that is the service that John Kuykendall and his team provide to their current clients and soon to be clients across North Central Florida, Lake City, surrounding areas. Your resource there at Gulf Coast Financial Services. Give them a call for that financial focus review and strategy session. Or if you'd like the book, Financial Focus, it's a great resource to get started as well. 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. And bottom line, John, we all leave that impact. Planning helps that increase the likelihood that it's a positive impact and legacy.
Yeah, we're going to leave some impact, and we want to make sure that it's positive, not negative. So the planning ahead of time makes all the difference in the world.
Well, again, if you would like to go through a strategy session to make sure that you've got a plan for your lifetime and beyond, and that you're leaving a positive impact, pick up the phone, give Gulf Coast Financial Services a call, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. John, always a pleasure. We appreciate the conversation and the guidance to help us uncomplicate the financial world and put a plan in place.
Thank you, Peter. Great to be here. Have a good week.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more financial focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovac Securities Inc., member FINRA SIPC, found online at www.kovacsecurities.com. Advisory services are offered through Gulf Coast Financial Services Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. Gulf Coast Financial Services Inc. is not affiliated with Kovac Securities Inc. or Kovac Advisors Inc. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All investing involves risk. Investment decisions should be based on your own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Due to various factors including changing market conditions and/or applicable laws, the content may no longer be reflective of current opinions or positions.